is that as black people, we should learn to appreciate good fortune. And we should try to not be so negative and even disparaging. If there are things that folks don't understand, well, there are things that everyone doesn't understand. So if there's an area of something that you understand, in all humility, there is something that someone else understands that you don't. So why ridicule someone for not seeing what you happen to see, okay? And so I think, maybe because of our history in this world, or maybe just human nature, we find the need to, when you're bringing someone down or you're ridiculing someone for something that they don't know, you're in a sense, your subconscious is trying to uplift you, okay? Because you are the counterweight, you are the counterbalance to what this individual doesn't understand. Don't be that way, especially among your own people. Now getting to this Black Scott TikTok that's trending, recognize how powerful that is. So this girl whose TikTok account, Black Scottish girl, is just growing by leaps and bounds, and I think she has like 50,000 followers now, and she's just amazed herself. It's a positive tool that can be used to benefit us. But so often, you've heard of the old saying, or maybe you haven't, don't miss the forest for the trees. We could miss the beauty of a thing, we could miss the benefit of the thing by trying to focus on something that is offending me, something like that. Don't do that. This is a particular time, in the history of mankind, and I know that sounds kind of wild and out there, but it is. And see what I see, and maybe it's me because I'm old. I'm older than most of the people on these TikTok videos. I'll be 67 this year, Try to take care of myself, eat right, and exercise. That's how it goes. But what I see with this Black Scott TikTok that's trending and people are really becoming attracted to it, I don't see it really about the Black Scots, although I do. What I see are the Black Scots were chosen, were specially chosen to be the portal, to be the door, to be the opening, to allow black folks all over the world to begin to wake up and recognize that I have family out there, I know it's been a point of ridicule. How come black Americans didn't know there were Black Scots? I mean, nobody was, if we consciously thought about it, of course, everyone would say, of course there are black people everywhere. But everywhere, folks are embroiled in their own lives, embroiled in their own situations and struggles and just trying to make it. And we don't really just consciously consider the realities of what's out there. And so to discover these Black Scots is not to have this, epiphany of something that was unknown. It was just like a good reminder, a happy reminder, an excitement, and I think it's a good thing. But what I want to share is it's not about being Scottish. I saw this gentleman, a white gentleman, with this post, so happy that the Scottish language and accent is going out across the world through Black Scott TikTok. But that's not the point, because what I see happening is that now I see Italian blacks waking up, Irish blacks waking up, Russian blacks, even Japanese blacks, and I used to live in Japan, and I see all these folks that are waking up all over the world simply because of this Black Scott TikTok trend. And so it's not about the Black Scots necessarily, but I think the Black Scots were special to be used as that portal to begin to draw all these black folks that are all over this planet, just to wake us up. We knew, but we were asleep, and it kind of woke us up. Like most of the time, we simply are attracted in TikTok to people that are associated with things that we like, or even within our own nations and all. But this has a far-reaching effect. And so I'm excited about it. And I think I'm excited about it in ways that others are not, because I see such an opportunity here. I see that there was a scattering of us, we all know, all over this planet, whether it was through slavery or whether it was being displaced from Africa because of what was going on in Africa. So the ancestors left there because of the exploitation that was going on in Africa, okay? And so I'm just suggesting that we all have that origin, and we all have that link, that common bond that connects all of us to that place. And what I'm saying is something wonderful, and I want to use the girl with the TikTok page. It has 50,000 followers, and she's getting paid now. She's making money. When we attach, we have strength, we have power. Okay, what we have learned in America, okay, we have had probably one of the most treacherous ways, through slavery, and then even after slavery, just making our way through civil rights, then through black power, even to where we are today. Some nations, I think Jamaica had a pretty tough way in slavery as well, but their situation, turned, down a different path at all. But in America, we found a way to use the system to our benefit. We recognize the power that we have when we're unified, even in our money. We had something that maybe most folks are not aware of, that in the 60s, 50s and 60s, and especially down south, black people were not allowed to ride in the front of a bus. They could ride the bus, but they had to sit in the back. Okay, even if there were empty seats in the front, black people sat in the back, white people sat in the front. Black people finally had their fill of that, because you had to pay to ride the bus, and these black people had to get to where they were going. So the black people decided to unify and boycott the whole bus system. They found other ways to get to work, other ways to get to where they were going, and that bus system was about to go bankrupt, and they changed their rules. We found early the power that we have in unity, the power that we have in our money, and this young black Scottish girl is finding out the power of this unity is benefiting her tremendously on TikTok. Now there are other people on TikTok, some Scots, some Americans, some English, that are ragging on, this whole infatuation with black TikTok, and they're spending their time creating videos and making comments that are negative and disparaging, while this girl just went up to 50,000 followers and getting paid. Now, don't focus. She's focused on the positive. Focus on what we can do for each other. Okay. Now what I'm considering is, and again, it's because of my age, and I am a student of history. And I lived in Europe for 5 years, as well in Asia when I was in the military. And so I've seen the world, and I've seen the condition of black people. And as we have settled in so many lands and so many nations, and we're satisfied, we love our nations. I love America in all its ills. And I see the Scottish people love Scotland, the Irish people love Ireland, the Italians, and everybody. You love the nation that you're in. Now, there are issues in all of our nations. We know that. But just like family, we simply learn to adapt and appreciate, okay? And so what I'm suggesting is then that we can admit that from a racial perspective, from a black perspective, that we're not accepted as white folks accept themselves, okay? And that's simply a reality, but we have been doing this so long, we have been adapting so long, we've been dealing with this so long that we just deal with it. I was watching, as wonderful as Scotland is, I'm sure, I was watching a Scottish girl. She was on TikTok just the other day talking about, riding a bus and the negative comments she was getting from somebody, "You're not from here," and just ragging on the girl. And her feelings were hurt. It happens everywhere. But we just deal with it, okay? It happens less in America because we had to deal with it, in a physical way. And so it still happens, but let me tell you, it doesn't need to happen. It doesn't matter. If somebody tries to disparage you, because you are black, when you realize the numbers of black people behind you worldwide, you have a community, you have a strength, you have a power. You don't have to take that. And you don't have to buy into it. It won't even offend you. You'll just laugh at them. Man, and let me tell you, there are ways, being in America, in this place of the treacherous issues against black people in this nation, and we have survived. Now, many have died, many were murdered, many were tortured, many were in prison, but we are the ones who survived. We know how to do it. We know how to handle it. Okay, for me, I told my daughter, she's in college now, on her way to becoming an attorney. But when she was in about the 12th grade, I told her, I said, honey, we have kept you out of the reach of racism. And she was looking at me, what do you mean, Dad? I mean, we have created finance, we have created money. We are doing well. We're living in a nice neighborhood, very nice neighborhood. Our daughter has attended the most prestigious schools in the region. Bought a really nice new car when she was 16 years old. She doesn't realize it, but we created a privilege for her, okay? And that's what you do. For me, I created my own privilege. Now I was in the military, okay? And so part of my privilege, my license plates on my car, I have military tags on there. So if somebody were to start to harass me, or even a police officer, they would think twice before harassing me because they saw my license plates. As well, my wife and I, we make good money, okay? We don't do drugs. We don't even drink alcohol, okay? We try to be healthy. I exercise. I eat healthy. I'm educated. Let me tell you about the education. All these things are the ways that you defeat the negative situation that you're in. And so when I was like 50 years old, that's when Barack Obama became president. Now, I've lived a successful life. I've never been poor, since the military. I've always worked, okay? But when I saw this guy with this Harvard education, he was a Harvard attorney, he was a Harvard law professor, he was a senator from Chicago, and now he's president of the United States. And I was like, this brother is younger than me, and I have a high school diploma, and he's got a Harvard education. So I decided to go to night school. While I was working, I went to night school. I was just going to get a 2-year degree. 10 years later, I earned my associate degree, I earned my bachelor's degree, and I earned my MBA. That's power. That's power. So when you're dealing with people that are feeling that they are superior to you, just make yourself superior to them. So rather than you sitting on the bus and them telling you that you don't belong, you have such a confidence in yourself, you can express to them that they don't belong. And that's the way you carry yourself, man. If you take yourself out of their reach, if you make yourself better than them, they can't harm you, okay? And so what I'm suggesting today is all over the world, wherever we've settled, whatever nation we have settled in, we've been the minority. We have been the victim, okay? We have been the recipient of whatever they wanted to be to us. Even if they were nice to us, it was that they chose to be nice to us. When I started, at a particular assignment, I work for the government in a particular new place about 5 years ago, and I've been with the government for 31 years now. This white lady came up to me and she was trying to tell me how much her father doesn't like, black people, but she isn't like him. And I'm like, I didn't want to hear that. And so what I told her, I said, let me tell you a little secret that black people have. And automatically her ears perked up. She wanted to hear this little secret that black people have. I said, what white people don't know is that black people don't like white people more than white people don't like black people. Made me feel good. But it's true. I don't know how it is over there, but we talk about white folks all the time. Maybe it's because of the history that we've had here. See, the power that white people have had in this nation isn't because of their intellect. And it isn't really because of their money. Because most white people in America are not financially well off. It's the bluff. It's this feeling of superiority that has no justification. And when we buy into it, because we are the minority, we just fuel this false sense of their superiority. And I'm suggesting is we just need to recognize who we are. We need to recognize where we came from. That's why Africa is important, okay, to us as our origin. Now let me be clear. I'm not talking about the Africa of today, because the Africa of today is simply the result of colonization, and they have tremendous issues because of what was perpetrated upon them through the colonizing lives that they lived under European control, okay? So I'm not talking about the Africa that was all carved up by the Europeans and given names to exploit those countries, and they're living those names today. No, that's not the Africa of our origin. The Africa of our origin was the Africa before the white Europeans. That's the Africa we originated from. So I think that is the confusion that we have even within ourselves, and even that Africans have, and us all over the world, black people. Even the Africans in Africa today, in their countries, that they were given the names by these Europeans, and the languages that they speak, whether it's French from the French domination, or whether it's English, from the English domination, whatever it is. The Africans today are a result of that. And they, too, their origins that link us in common bond are those origins that existed before the Europeans came to Africa. So Africa today is not our common bond. Africa prior to the European invasions, that is the common bond between the Africans and Africa today. The common bonds to those who were taken in the slave trade, the common bonds between those whose ancestors left because they did not want to deal with the colonization in Africa at the time. So however we left, that Africa prior to the European invasion, that is our common bond. And so what I see here is that the black Scots didn't even realize it. Americans didn't realize it in embracing the black Scots. But this was just the doorway. The black Scots were chosen for something great. For something great, not even realizing it, that will be attracting black people. And with TikTok and social media at our fingertips, this is something that's never been historically here, and everybody knows how to use it. We can unite, and we'll find that power in that unity. And just as effectively and efficiently as we were divided from that place of our origin, we can be reunited if we allow ourselves to be. And this can be beneficial. Some folks, whatever countries they're in, they're struggling, looking for a wife, looking for a husband, looking for their music to work, looking to sell their products, looking for a social media, to be a social media influencer. All these things that just haven't been working, it can work in the power of the numbers of black people all over this planet. Now, one of the issues I think that we have, and I've seen it, because we have mixed blood. Well, guess what? In America, just about every black person, just a small percentage of black people aren't mixed with something. We just consider ourselves black, regardless of what shade we are. My grandfather's Mexican. My great-grandmother's a white Irish woman. Okay? So I mean, we all have mixed blood. But one thing about in the Americas, during the slave trade, there was what they called the one-drop rule. If you had one drop of black blood in you, you were a slave. and so this created within us a reality that regardless of the shade of an individual's skin, if you've got one drop, you're a slave. We took that and made that our power, made that our unity. So we have black people the darkest you can imagine, but we have other black people that can pass for white people, but we are black and we are unified and we are powerful. And we make changes, man. You get a company that's paying a representative so much money, or you get a company that has a CEO in charge of that company, and they say something disparaging about black people, that guy loses his job within the next day or two. That's how it works. Okay? That's power. That's power in unity. That's power in our money when we are unified. Okay? So I don't take this black Scott TikTok trend for granted. I see the power in this. And the Black Scots were the chosen people used to bring this about without even realizing it. You have done something that more wonderful than you can imagine if we don't let it go. And I'm going to give you a caveat. I'm going to give you a warning. And again, this is from the experience in America, which is very unique. You know, the treachery and what we've experienced and still going on today. We know how to manipulate and navigate through the system. But when you find black people coming together and creating something powerful, number one, that's going to unify them, okay, and bring them self-confidence and a good feeling about themselves, and as well be a particular platform to generate a lot of money. How do you think Beyonce got so wealthy? Black people. How do you know, this is what we can do if we like you, you know, and that is reality. But then white people will begin to come in and try to divide, try to destroy it, try to take it. The same thing they did. Why do you think the Europeans came to Africa? Because Africa has the most resources and the most precious resources all within the continent of Africa than anywhere else in the world. So whenever you have something great, you have to protect it. And so you're going to see white people coming into your black TikTok trend, trying to get a piece of that. Don't fall for it. Because as black people, the one thing that we have, and it probably is across the world, because we all have that same origin of the initial man, you know, of civilized man, is that we are good-hearted. And so good-hearted sometimes we accept the wolf into the sheep fold, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. That's history. Learn from history. Why do you think we're in this boat? Whatever the situation is, I know a lot of people, you know, my people weren't slaves. They may not have been, but the reason they left Africa is because Africa was being exploited. So whatever reason, it was not a good reason when black people left Africa. Not by their own free will, not because of their desires, but in one reason or another, they were forced by white Europeans. So just protect yourself. And when they come in here smiling, wanting a piece of this TikTok, or wanting to sow division, you know, whichever way they come in, don't let them. Protect what you are. I think there's this religious verse that goes something like, it speaks of the importance of guarding your heart, because out of it flow the issues of life, okay? And so what is your heart really? I mean, we're talking about this muscle that beats blood. We're talking about the heart, the mind, the psyche, okay? Be careful. When you begin to affix yourself to something as a black person, there are going to be other people that are going to be trying to disrupt it. And not just the white people, black people too, because we have issues from the stuff we've been through. In America, we call it PTSD. You know, a lot of times soldiers come back from conflict, you know, and have these mental issues from the tragedy and all the chaos and all the killing and what they've seen. Well, you know, a lot of times that PTSD is transferred generationally through families that have had disappointments and tragedies. And so you'll find then black people will even, you know, try to sabotage the things that black people are doing by coming up with negativities. I've seen it on this TikTok feed already, people coming in with negative reasons why, and just being a downer. You know, don't do that. This is a beautiful time. This is a wonderful time, a time that wrongs can be righted and have an effect. The effect that we can impose now, positive, will last for generations and generations and generations. So you think you have it good now wherever you're at, and it's okay. When your kids and your kids' kids and they'll have no idea even of the negativities we had to face, even though we're in good times. You know, it'll all be good for them. But anyway, I guess I've talked your ear off. I do want to thank you once again for joining me for another perspective, and I want to invite you to join me again. You take care. Bye.